We have our attendees out in the audience, but we still do not have a quorum.
Yeah, I haven't heard from Todd. I talked to him yesterday, but he didn't say he wasn't going to make it.
He's usually pretty prompt to get on these, though. Can you throw him a text, Eric?
Yeah. I just texted him.
Okay. Because at this point, we do not have a quorum. Oh, Bill Ferguson is here.
How do you unmute? How do you unmute?
Let's see.
Hello?
Hey, Bill.
How are you tonight? I'm Bill Ferguson.
There we go. Hello, Bill.
So who's here tonight?
Donald Levinson is a member.
That's me.
Eric Goodman is a member.
Hey, Bill.
Hey Eric, how are you doing, buddy?
Good.
And I'm staff from the building official, and Linda Galetta is Town of Groton staff also.
All right. Nice meeting everybody, except Eric.
Is it not nice to meet him, or you already met him?
No. Eric's a great man. He busts my chops. I can't bust his chops as much as he busts mine, but I try.
We're glad to have you.
There's Todd.
So, Bill, it's your first meeting, and since Sarah's not here, that means you have to run the whole thing.
Oh, excellent. That's
I tell you, the appliance. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, Todd.
Good.
thank God Todd's here. All's well in the world.
Where's Mr. Goodman? He's not using the video?
I walked in about 5 minutes ago, so I'm rudely eating dinner while I'm doing this.
Oh, okay. You ready to start?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's go.
I'm reading.
Todd, you're going to be running the meeting since I don't think Sarah's going to make it?
I mean, I got the cheat sheet.
Okay. All right, I'll start off with the beginning of the meeting. Okay, this meeting of the Historic District Commission will take place in a webinar format through Zoom. The chair of the commission is Sarah Moriarty. The host of the webinar is building officials. Staff attending this meeting include Peter Zavinglis and Linda Galetta. Anyone speaking should state their names prior to speaking each time. The panelists in this webinar meeting will be the commission members and the building staff. Panelists who would like to comment on an item should indicate such by using the icon to raise hand at the bottom of the screen. After a panelist raises their hand, they will be able to comment one at a time when called upon by the chairperson. Panelists should mute the microphones until called upon. Panelists calling into the meeting by telephone may raise or lower their hand by pressing *9. To mute or unmute your call, press *6. To make a motion or second a motion, commission members can raise a hand and be acknowledged by the host or chair. To vote on a motion, commission members will be called upon individually by the chair to vote. The public can participate in the meeting during public communication agenda items. The public will be asked to raise their hand during public communications if they want to speak at this time by using the icon to raise hand at the bottom of the screen. And the public will be called upon by the host one at a time and be able to speak during this time. Attendees must identify themselves before speaking.
Good.
We are good.
Okay. Bill Ferguson is joined the Historic District Commission. Do we actually have to seat him, Peter? I'm not sure we do.
No, he's an active member.
He's an active member, yeah.
Correct.
I was officially sworn in, just for the record. I mean, I don't know if that's a factor, but I just wanted to let people know.
Yeah, the town clerk probably swore you in, right?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Betty McCousher.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to read the public.
Well, Todd, you got to call the meeting to order and the time for.
All right, all right. Let me look at my sheet here. Okay, the meeting of the Historic District Commission is called to order on November 17th at 7:05 p.m. What about the waiver of hearing procedures? Do we go through that anymore now that we're online?
We haven't done that in a long time.
Yeah, I don't think we do it anymore.
Haven't been doing that anymore.
No.
Okay.
Do you want to read the published
Yeah.
notification?
I'm going to read the public notice of hearing. Dear Michelle, please publish the following public notice for one insertion on Monday, November 9th, 2020. Town of Groton notice of public hearing, Historic District Commission. The Historic District Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, November 17th, 2020 at 7 p.m. virtually via the Zoom platform to hear the following applications requesting the certificate of appropriateness. HDC 20-68, 15 Library Street, Peter Hurd, owner applicant, remove fencing, pin number 2619183015338. HDC 20-74 Thomas Street, Charles and Lorraine, owners applicants, replace windows, pin number 2618051988081. HDC 20-71 31 New London Road, Frederick and Victoria Pinelli, owners applicants, garage improvements, pin number 2619172011176. The Zoom meeting link will be posted to the town's website, meetings calendar, or can be attended by visiting www.zoom.us. Webinar ID 861-0097-8100, password 246780. Or by phone at 1-312-626-6799. Applications are on file and available for public inspection during normal business hours at the Planning Department, 134 Groton Long Point Road, Groton, Connecticut. Dated this 9th day of November 2020 at Groton, Connecticut. Todd Brady, Secretary.
Good.
You can put up the
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to. There we go.
here. Right, thank you.
There we go. All right. Can you see that yet or no? Probably not. Let me go share screen again. And there we go. Hang on a second. Boom. There we go. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay.
HDC 20-68, 15 Library Street, Peter Hurd. Are you here, Peter?
Yes, I'm here. Yep.
Okay, so why don't you just go through your proposal as though you've never been here before?
Okay.
Public hearing, so what you said before at the preliminary didn't really.
Will do. Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Peter Hurd. I'm calling in from Manchester. About 8 weeks ago, we became the owners of 15 Library Street. And we're going to be going through some interior renovations this winter, but the scope of the work for this application is exterior related and for the removal of two fences. What we're looking to do is to remove the rotted fence that's along roughly 90 feet on the west side of the driveway along the property edge. And the purpose of this is to access and remove the vegetation that's growing between the fence and the concrete wall that runs along the property line. I'm guessing that the fence is, I don't know, 25, 30 years old. I don't believe it has any historical significance, and it's largely hidden from public view. It's perpendicular to both Route 1 and Library Street. As I said, behind the fence is a concrete wall that you probably all know about. It separates our property from the house that's being renovated next door. And in the spring, what we'll want to do is do something there. We're not quite sure what. We'll look certainly for your guidance on that, but we're going to regrade the driveway a little bit, add some gravel to level the ditch that's behind the fence, between the fence and the concrete wall. And really what we want is, we may put in a new fence there, but we want a few winter months to kind of visualize, what the heck we're going to do there in the future. Again, the main purpose now is to get the vegetation down. It's overgrowing the house. It's, filling the gutters and so forth. So, and the fence is rotted anyway. I think it needs to come down regardless. The other part of the project is to remove the fence that runs, you can see it there, it runs partially along the driveway towards Route 1, and then it turns the corner and goes down Route 1 about 30, 35 feet or so. It's a 6-foot fence. I think it's a little bit newer. It certainly is in better condition. But I think at 6 feet, it's out of character for the neighborhood. And what we want to do is to take that down, plant arborvitaes along Route 1, and then possibly around the corner lining the driveway. Again, not quite sure what we're going to do there. We understand that Route 1 is scheduled to be redone there in 2021 or 22. I think some trees are being taken down and the Jersey barriers there. So we're not sure if that's going to come onto the sidewalk property or whatever, but we'll obviously come back to you if we put up a new fence there, a 4-foot fence along Route 1. So that's it kind of in a nutshell. Glad to answer questions.
Okay, any comments or questions?
What's the fence made of that's along Route 1?
It is wood. It's a picket fence. It's kind of strange. It's 4-foot square metal posts with wood in between. It's a heavy duty fence. I don't know when it was installed. I don't know if they came before this commission before or whatever, but in the materials I'm reading, a 6-foot fence isn't great there. And, again, I think our bias is probably to put up a 4-foot picket fence where that one is now, but do that in the spring. Those are the, that's obviously the one on the left, on the right-hand picture. The left-hand fence is the 4-foot, and the concrete walls to the left of that. On the right of that picture is that 6-foot fence coming from the house, turns the corner, goes down Route 1. I think a couple of slides later, you can see the Route 1 view of that.
So it's not that black fence that we was in.
Oh, no, that's not going anywhere. I love that fence.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
That's the 6-footer.
Okay.
And actually, we've already taken down all that vegetation to the right of it and already planted arborvitaes there. If you've driven by recently.
So all the fence you're taking down is all the white fence?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
I don't have anything further, Todd.
And this is Bill Ferguson. My only question is, what is When you say you're replacing it with a 4-foot fence, is it a wood or what's the material that you're replacing? the
Well,
fence with?
I'm not asking to replace at this point, but in the spring, what my purpose of doing it now is we want to get the arborvitaes in. I know it's the tail end of the growing season, but I think there's still time to get the arborvitae in now. But we've planted the ones already there about 7 or 8 feet back from the sidewalk. So we've left a lot of room to put a fence between the sidewalk and the arborvitaes. We would come back to you more than likely with a wooden, a 4-foot picket fence.
Okay,
Whatever's in character, it honestly doesn't matter that much to us. We would seek your guidance on it.
So you're just looking to take a fence down, Bill?
okay. So this is all about the fence coming down more than.
Yeah, and that one, honestly, it's in great shape, but at 6 feet, I don't like it. And I think it hides the house and it shouldn't be hidden.
Any other comments, questions for the applicant?
I thought I'm good.
Okay, so Peter, unfortunately, I still don't have the agenda, so I have these down various. I gotta write them down.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Todd.
I just want to write down these applications, so I have.
Yeah.
Okay, HDC 20-68 is closed. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this application? Anyone opposed? Okay. So we'll move on to HDC 20-70. 4 Thomas Street, Charles and Lorraine, owners applicants. So Charles and Lorraine here? Peter, or you don't show anyone?
Charles Jackson is here, but he's muted.
Asking him to unmute.
There, he's just off mute now.
Are you there?
Never
Charles?
done this before.
Okay, that's fine. So you have an application here to replace windows, and so what you have to do now is you have to tell us what you intend to do, the scope of the application, and then we'll scroll through your submission while you're explaining what you're going to do.
Okay, we are in the process of hiring rings and window replacements. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. We're want to replace 21 windows in the front of the house and the side of the house. The back was done in 2005 when they put an addition on the house. And the original windows are the windows we want to replace. We're want to put in replacement windows because we don't want to tear any of the trim inside the house apart, because we had a problem when we did some flooring. They broke a piece of trim and you couldn't replace it. So we just want to put replacement windows in. They're solid wood windows with aluminum clad. They're the exact same windows as the back of the house. They're going to take the 21 windows off, take them out, put the new windows in, caulk, and seal everything.
Now, do you have storm windows on there?
Yes, they're aluminum storm windows, which will be disposed of.
You're going to remove those.
Yes. So that you will only see the windows. There will not be any storm windows whatsoever, because all of the windows are double paned and.
Right, they're thermal paints. And are those? What's the Mutton situation of those windows? Are they 1/1s? 2/1s and 1/1s, it says, right?
Oh, it's 2 on the top, 1 on the bottom. Exactly what is the rest of the house.
So wherever you're replacing a window, you're replacing it with a like window?
The same, it'll look exactly the same.
Okay.
The window you're showing on the frame here is not the window that we're replacing it with.
That's a 6/1.
Right.
Application there are two.
Ours are 2/1, right.
This is just the packet that came from the company. Because
Yeah,
it's- Yeah, that's just their Marvin
what they had.
pamphlet that they have that they send out with the information on it. But it's the ultimate double hung insert G2. Marvin
sorry?
Signature. It's the Marvin Signature Collection Series is what you're doing, but you're just doing solid windows, not with the grids.
Right.
Well, do some of them have grids?
On the
I'm
original
sorry?
house?
I'm sorry?
Don't some of the windows have a vertical grid on the upper side or no? A mutton.
They're just 2 panes of glass on the top and a single pane on the bottom, all throughout the house. And the windows I'm replacing are original windows from 1899.
Right. So some of the uppers are 2 pieces of glass.
Oh, maybe these little ones.
Yeah.
It might be the little, on both sides of the house, there are 4 panes, like a combination of 4 windows.
Yeah.
I
I
thought
think
they,
all of them are gonna be the the vertical up on top.
right.
So whatever was originally, we're gonna replace it with that same look.
Okay. But it's just that it's a surface applied button, or it's not exactly like the old window, but you're basically duplicating the windows. I mean, these are Marvin windows. These are good windows. Are there any other questions or comments on this application?
Yeah, it's a divided light window. It's gonna look like the old one. You're not gonna even be able to tell. It'll just work.
It's basically, I'm sure, Eric, it's a simulated divided light.
It is, but the Marvin Ultimates do an awesome job of making them almost
You can hardly.
as good as. I mean, I think it's the best. I think it's the best divided light window you can get without getting a custom, wood divided light, which I don't even know where you'd get anymore.
They're only $1,500 a piece.
That's a pretty good. That's a pretty good price. I would take that and run.
Okay. Any other comments, questions?
Not for me.
Bill? Is Bill still here?
Looks like he walked away from the, oh, here he comes back.
Do you have any comments, questions, or anything for the applicant?
No, everything's pretty straightforward on this one.
Okay. HDC 20-70 is closed. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak in favor of this application? Anyone opposed? Okay, we'll go to HDC 20-71. 31 New London Road, Frederick and Victoria Finelli.
I don't think we're per se anymore, right? So shut it off.
Okay, that's us.
You there? Is that Victoria?
Yes.
Okay, so you should just introduce yourselves and go ahead and describe exactly what you intended to do.
Okay, so we have a detached garage in the corner of the property, and we're going to improve the inside so we can to make it living space. And we want to replace the windows and doors and the garage doors.
Well, they saw us too for a while.
Sorry, I can't hear. I'm not sure I'm hearing. So there's a back section of it, which is 10 by 20. We're going, and it's short. It's shorter than the red garage. So we're gonna raise that. Yeah, there it is. So yeah, that's coming down Route 1 at Allen Street. And there's the garage we're talking about in the corner there.
So I can get.
And that's the view from West Mystic, which you can't see unless you're standing on the sidewalk looking back. And that's the view, it would be from West Mystic if the bushes weren't there. That would be the view. So the back part is a little shorter than the front. We want to raise it up 3 feet to be the same height as the main garage and replace the doors and windows.
Oh. Or the meeting, yeah, but would they see our dining room?
So there's a single door in the back section right now, which isn't glass, so we want to replace it with French doors. The window there is original. I think the garage is built in like the 20s or 30s, but the house is 1874, so it's newer than the house, but it's an original window, so it just needs replacing with better insulated windows. And we're gonna make the door glass, and the garage doors we're actually replacing with garage doors that aren't gonna function. It's just gonna look like a garage door.
Forever I know we said that.
Which will be actually more period than the current garage doors.
So they're just gonna be basically faux garage doors.
Yeah, yeah.
And
That
We-
door.
the entire garage all the way around? Oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
I guess just-
So you can't really see that side from the street. That would be from the neighbor's house kind of, but we're gonna, one of those windows already exists. We're gonna add one more small window. Yeah, that's the one we're adding. And that's sort of on the back part, which we're raising the roof up. So now the roof will be continuous from the front to the back, on the back.
Can we go
It's
back
just-
to that last slide for 1 second, please?
That anyway.
What is this circle? What is this thing circle on the left?
I can't shut it off.
I was just showing that, I would take a picture of that side of the garage, but you can't see it because it's just all bushes,
It's your public view looking at it, you're
Yeah,
unable to see it.
Okay, thank you.
This isn't visible to anybody, correct?
Well, yeah, because my neighbor's garage is right up against it. So you could walk, there's like 3 feet in between. But there's no change to that anyway, no windows or.
And it's not visible from a public way anywhere either, right? It's not visible from the street.
Right. And that's, sorry, my internet's not too good. That's one of them. So we're doing the 2/2. So what it's called, I think, 2 wide, 1, 2 wide, 1 high, which is what the rest of the house has and what there is on the garage right now. But it'll be,
It did sign out. It
the-
didn't, what did it do? What do I do? What did I do with the Chinese food?
so it won't be an actual divided light, it's simulated divided light, but it's on the inside and outside. So it'll look like the existing window right there,
Shut the volume.
as will the door.
Can't hear you. Does it not hear you?
I can hear somebody's TV.
Please shut the volume down, please.
And is that entry door that we're seeing
Yeah,
now?
so the entry door right now, which is in the picture on the left, is solid wood right now, but we're gonna replace it with the door with that divided light, right? Which will be exactly the same as the windows and, in this sort of 2/2 look. And simulated divided light. And then that solid wood door will turn into French doors, which will be the same as the entry door. I mean,
Okay.
It's not within our jurisdiction, but I'm just curious, if you're gonna make it living space, doesn't it have to be insulated and everything?
yeah, they're gonna do that on the inside, yeah. Because right now it's just open, you know, the wood, open wood on the inside. So they're gonna insulate it and put, what? Drywall. Drywall.
Yeah, okay. But
And so
you're not
that's
doing anything to the
why we're
siding?
doing the faux garage doors because, no, that's all just the wood siding, which will stay the same. In the back where we're raising it, we're just gonna copy the same wood siding and paint it the same. We painted it since we've moved in, so it'll just all match. And then the roof is just, you know, shingle, not old, you know, so that's easy to match.
So that was just a sample of another garage door in the historic district that's similar.
Well, at the end, I just showed that the garage doors, I went around the historic Groton side of historic to look at garage doors to see what was going to be fitting. And I just took pictures as examples that exists in the neighborhood already and just sort of copied that.
Okay.
So it'll, you know, it'll actually look better than it does now. The ones now are sort of retrofitted modern doors, you know. It'll look like that instead, yeah.
Okay, any comments or questions for the applicant?
Not from me.
I'm good.
All right, yeah, this is a very comprehensive presentation. Thank you very much. So we'll close HDC 71. Does anyone in the audience like to speak in favor of this application? Anyone opposed? Okay, so now we'll go to consideration of the applications. The first application is HDC 20-68. Hang on. 15 Library Street, Peter Hurd applicant, and this is to remove fencing. Any comments?
Move to approve.
Was that you, Eric?
That was me.
All right, Eric moved to approve. Do we have a second?
I second.
Bill Ferguson seconds. Any other comments?
No,
Okay, so we'll have a vote and I'll do a roll call for the vote. Don Levinson,
in favor.
Bill Ferguson,
In favor.
Eric Goodman,
Aye.
Todd Brady, aye. Okay, the application is approved. HCC 20-70, 4 Thomas Street, Charles and Lorraine, owners applicants. This is the application to replace a series of windows in this house with like windows. Any comments?
I'll move to approve.
Don Levinson moves to approve. Second.
Second.
Is that you, Eric, or was that Bill waving his fingers?
Take your pick.
Your choice.
You gotta speak up, Bill.
All right, I second.
All right, and so we'll take a roll call. Don Levinson,
Aye.
Bill Ferguson,
Aye.
Eric Goodman,
Aye.
Todd Brady, aye. Okay, the application is approved. HDC 20-71, 31 New London Road, Frederick and Victoria Finelli. It's an application to take an existing garage and turn it into a living space, including renovations to the rear section of the garage and replacement of pretty much all the windows. Any motions?
Motion to approve.
Is that you, Bill?
Yes.
Bill Ferguson moves to approve. Second.
I'll second.
Don Levinson second. All right, we'll take a vote. Don Levinson,
Aye.
Bill Ferguson,
Aye.
Eric Goodman,
Aye.
Brady, aye. The application is approved. All right, we have any pre-application hearings?
I don't see anybody in the crowd.
Nobody here?
I don't see anybody waving hands or anything, so they must just be here for the agenda items.
Okay, no pre-application hearings. Public communications, any public communications?
Yes, there is. Let me get to it. Let's get to the end of this. Where is it? Bear with me one second. There we go. Bob Mercier.
Well, that's new business, Pete, or old business, actually.
Oh, I thought, okay. I thought it was
Yeah.
public communication. Never mind then. We'll get to it eventually.
Okay. Hang on. All right, so no public communications. Approval of the minutes. Do we have two sets of minutes? Oh, we have the special meeting. So the approval of the minutes of October 20th, 2020. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Move to approve.
Second.
Eric seconded.
Eric did?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have a roll call. Don Levinson,
Aye.
Bill Ferguson,
Aye.
Eric Goodman.
Aye.
Todd Brady, aye. Okay, the minutes of the October 20th meeting are approved. The special meeting, November 2nd, 2020, move to approve, I'll move to approve those minutes. We have a second.
And second.
Don Levinson. You vote in
Yep.
favor? Approve?
Yep.
Okay. Bill Ferguson,
Approve.
Eric Goodman,
Aye.
Todd Brady, aye. All right, the minutes of the special meeting are approved. Old business, 29 Gravel Street. Bob Mercer, I guess, is the applicant. So that was the letter you were showing us, Peter.
Right. Although, should Bill Ferguson not approve those minutes since he wasn't at the meeting?
No, you can still vote to approve them. You don't have to be at the meeting.
Okay. Just
But
double
was he sworn in by then? You have to be on the commission.
Good point.
And he's voting on the minutes from earlier, but I don't think it matters. You can vote to approve minutes even if you weren't at the meeting. So you should.
It's unanimous anyway, so I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it matters.
Yeah. We take it to the Supreme Court. Okay.
Yeah.
Not here to like cause tumult. I'll renege my approval, but you guys.
Okay, so shall I read this, Peter?
Sure.
All right, this is from Bob Mercer to Linda, October 19th, 2020. Linda, sorry this is taking me so long to get this in the file for 29 Gravel Street, the Ahmed residence. Please find attached the approved garage door style and the substituted garage door style. This change was handled administratively at the last HDC meeting. The first image with the glass panels was the one that was approved, and the second image is now being used. Drop the is. So this is the garage door that they intend to use, correct?
Correct.
It's the only drawing that came with this, Peter?
I got somebody in there raising their hand in the audience. I was just asking them to unmute just to see if it was dealing with this or not.
Hi, no, it's not dealing with this. I'm with Mark Camo, and he's supposed to present a project, I believe. He asked me to ask about it.
Oh, okay.
He's on his way to the meeting. He should be in any moment, but I just wanted to bring it up and alert you.
Was this for pre-application?
This is for Broadway. It's going to be Station 1 Hotel.
Wrong side of the river.
Wrong side of the river.
Oh, this is,
I think you're here for that house.
Yeah.
oh, for,
The one behind it.
yes, for Perry Lorenz's house. Sorry, my apologies.
Right on Port Rachel Place.
Yes, correct.
All right, we'll get back to you if Mr. Camo gets here, but in the meantime, Do we have to vote on this, or is this just a submission?
I think it was just a submission because you guys agreed as long as he submitted for you to review just briefly.
Okay, so this is the garage door he's gonna use. Is there anything below that, Peter?
Right there.
What is that?
And that's it. It's just showing the grid style.
Is that the door he's using, or is that the door he's using?
Yeah, those are two different doors. That's why I'm confused.
And the substituted garage door style. So the substituted one is this one, the one with the grid style.
That's what he's going to use, Peter.
Right, that's the substituted one.
The one above is the one that we approved before that had glasses. So this is just a solid door. Okay. So I guess we just attach that to the.
I think that was a formality where somebody said you should just make sure you submit it. You guys were approving it, but you just wanted to see it in the packet. Okay. I still don't see Mark Como out there.
Can we go on to new business while we're waiting, Peter?
Might as well. So we were working on changing the application to make it a little bit more formal with the procedural aspect of it, so we don't run into the problems we were running into. So this was the new format that we were going to be using for the application. So we wanted to just bring this up for the commission to take a look at. I think you got emailed out to each of the members. I gave it to Sarah to email to all of you to review prior.
Yeah.
So basically it was adding in this, this is basically taking the planning document that we use on all land use applications and incorporating the certificate of appropriateness to it. So this is the new part right here being added in, certificate of appropriateness. And then it's basically the same application process going through, and then we added the checklist, all the criteria needed for an application. A lot of this was already in our normal packet. The changes we were making specifically were dealing with incorporating the pre-application meeting as an informal session held by the HTC Commission with an applicant prior to submission for the formal application. The meeting is optional, but is highly recommended as it provides an opportunity to review it for the commission. And then we incorporated this, if you wanted to accelerate your application process and be included, then you have to go before Tom Zannarini. He'll make the call if it's ready and appropriate to be put into the agenda or not.
So for someone who wants to go, does everyone who goes in for a public hearing have to meet with Tom or submit their materials to him, or only if someone wants to an expedited or accelerated application and skip the preliminary?
They're all going to him.
They're all going to him.
Mm-hmm.
So if by having this document here, and the checklist, then Tom will be able to see that everything that has to be in the application will be in the application.
Correct. And if they're not ready, they're not going on the agenda. So he will determine if they're ready to be put on the agenda or not.
How does that work timing wise?
Timing wise, it works out fine because you're not going to have to deal with the public hearing until they're actually ready for a public hearing.
Right, but one of the question I guess I'm asking is in terms of Tom's schedule and whatever, if I want to go to a public hearing at the next Historic District Commission meeting, how early at what point do I have to get my stuff to Tom Zannarini in order to be able to do that?
If you're trying to get on for a pre-application meeting?
No, if I want to go directly to a public hearing.
He will determine that.
Pardon me?
He will make the determination when he reviews the file.
Oh, it's not, so I think I don't know, I don't want to speak for Todd, but I kind of, so if I fill out the form on Monday and I know the Historic District Commission is meeting on Tuesday, I probably won't be able to go the very next day.
You wouldn't be able to anyway for a public hearing because it has to get it has to get notified.
Public hearing has to be published in the paper.
Correct.
All right.
So as it works now, correct me if I'm wrong, Linda, if you're still there somewhere. If someone wants to go on the agenda for the next public HEC meeting, assuming that it's 2 weeks from today, just for discussion's sake, they typically have to get all their information, and right now their application
would have to be on Wednesday.
Tomorrow.
Right, correct.
My question is, if someone comes to Linda tomorrow with an application to the HDC, hoping to get on the agenda 2 weeks hence, can Linda publish notice of the public hearing, or does she have to get a sign off by Tom before she can do that?
Yes, you will have to review it prior.
Okay, so if I come to,
He'll be reviewing the file to make sure they're not missing anything in the file. Because we've been running into that problem where people are coming to public hearings and they don't have all the information.
realize that, but here's my concern. If I came to a pre-application hearing, I can come to a pre-application hearing at any time.
Absolutely.
If I came to a pre-application hearing today, then in order for me to have a public hearing or attend a public hearing 2 weeks hence, I have to have all of my information and I have to meet with Tom Zanarini tomorrow.
No, you guys would make the determination on that. If they go to the pre-application meeting and you feel that they have it, we're going to have you guys basically at the meeting say that everything is adequate for submittal.
Okay.
And then they'll be able to submit it on Wednesday and then it'll be put on the next agenda.
Okay. We can expedite the process ourselves.
Correct. But you're going to make that note at the pre-application meeting. You're going to make that determination that everything is there.
But what might more likely happen is someone comes in with a pre-application hearing, and a lot of times they're not totally prepared. But say they might have 80% of what they need. Then we tell those people, look, if you want to go to a public hearing 2 weeks hence, you must get the other items that we determine you need
by tomorrow.
To Tom Zanarini by the next day, so he can look at it and tell Linda she can publish. Is that practical?
Correct. Still the same way, yeah.
Yeah, but my question is the logistics are daunting.
Well, you got to make sure you get your stuff together. Otherwise, you're wasting everybody's time, though.
I think what Todd's asking is Tom going to be able to do it in one day?
That's why he'll make that determination. If it's a minor item that they're missing, they will be able to come in that next day. If it's something that's stretched out, then no, they'll have to wait till the next available meeting. Because they're not ready for submittal at that point. They did not get all the documents in place.
I'm okay with that because I think it'll push out some of the ones that.
It will force people to have their stuff together before they're actually going before for a public hearing. Because we're running into a problem with these meetings of people coming in and they're rushing to get everything in last minute, and then they're not getting it in on time and they're missing something. Then everybody's trying to accommodate them, and then we're getting into the meeting, and it's not running smoothly because they're missing parts and they got to get continued to the next meeting, which they're being continued anyway at that point.
I hear you and I realize that, but I also know that when you're going to get a building permit or you're going to do something and you are anxious for whatever reason to get going, that this is probably going to extend the approval process before the HDC by a month.
Or it'll expedite it if they go to Tom first and have him get it ready for them. Yeah, they'll be going in for the application ready to go.
And what, 90% of people come with the correct information.
Right.
I would say it's more often than not that people are fine.
Exactly. It's the oddball ones that we get that usually we run into this problem with.
And I think very, very rarely are they like truly not prepared at all.
Oh, I agree. But I'm just thinking that I think there are going to be a certain number of issues where someone's missing something fairly minor 2 weeks before the public hearing would take place. And so at that point, as long as, well, if Tom Zanarini has the discretion to say, okay, you can go ahead to the public hearing, Linda, you can publish, but you say to the person, you make sure you get that window drawing to me, or make sure you get that, well, she's got.
He will have that discretion.
He'll have that, because in other words, Peter, Linda needs all the submission in order to scan it in, or Tom, whomever's going to be doing that in advance.
To publish it, correct.
But not necessarily 2 weeks in advance. I mean, in terms of having the package prepared for us to see it.
Right.
So you can back and fill a little bit. All right, so we're going to.
And it'll be a discretionary call on his part with this. You will review it, he'll make a determination, and if he feels it's not adequate enough, he'll hold off. But if he feels it is adequate enough and he can work it with him in the time frame, then yes.
Okay, as long as he's got the discretion to do that, just because I hate
Right.
to.
There's a little bit of gray in there. There's a little bit of wiggle room with it. And that's why the notification of the public hearing is the important date that we're trying to get situated with.
Okay. So, Don, you okay with this?
Yeah, Kevin, I just want to see the language on the last page there.
Kevin's not here.
Kevin. Yeah.
All right,
Are you,
answer that
yeah,
question.
where you have the bold, when you say wish to accelerate your app, are you really saying if you wish to skip the pre-application meeting?
Yeah, where are we talking about?
The very last paragraph
Oh,
in
the last
bold.
one.
You should change.
Yeah, you would not have to, you would be able to go, if you wish to accelerate your application request, be included in the next regular scheduled meeting, contact staff, and he will discuss this option. So he will discuss if you're ready to jump on without having a pre-application meeting.
Don, I think, speaking for Don, though, I think he's right. Don, assuming you're saying this, I'm sorry, but the accelerate word, I would just change that word.
Yeah, I think you want to say if you wish to skip the pre-application meeting. Because isn't that what you're really trying to say?
Or maybe accelerate the application process?
By skipping the pre-application meeting.
Yeah, you're not necessarily accelerating it. It's not like a program. It makes it sound like you've got you have some like fast track method when you don't. It's just, you're just skipping the meeting. I mean,
Yeah, you're able to skip that. You're able to skip a pre-app meeting with you guys.
Yeah, that's what I would say, that if you wish to skip the pre-application
If
meeting.
you wish to skip the pre-application meeting and be included in the next regular scheduled meeting by the commission, please contact.
Right.
Oh, okay, you can make a note on that.
I think that's better. Good point, Don.
Revise the language on that a little bit.
Otherwise, I like it because people get frustrated both ways. We get frustrated, they don't have the stuff. They get frustrated because they think we're being picky and asking for something that's obvious, and this hopefully will avoid a lot of that. And then, it's trial by error. We'll see how it goes. If we've got problems,
It provides someone, so Linda, can, process the paperwork and everything, and Tom can deal with the specific issues with regard to each application. I think it should work in everyone's benefit.
yeah.
Right, he'll make that determination. If they're not ready to go, he's not going to waste your time, our time, everybody's time, if the people aren't ready to be on a meeting.
Okay. So you're just going to change some of the language at the end here, Peter.
Okay, yep, I noted that.
All right. Any other comments or questions on this?
No.
None.
Now, I think Mark Como was in the audience now. Let's see if he's still there. I saw him waving his hand before. Maybe he is. Hang on a second.
Go back to the pre-application hearings. Is Mo available to present?
I just added him in as a panelist, so he should be.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Shall I proceed?
What was that?
Oh, shall I proceed?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. You cannot start screen while another applicant is sharing.
Okay, I gotta stop sharing. Hang on a second. There we go.
Okay. Full screen. There we go. Okay, so I'm here representing Perry Lorenz in 11 Fort Rachel Place. Last time I was here, oh, hold on.
That looks like Rome to me.
I was just in that meeting.
It looks like the Parthenon or something.
Here we go. We get to the right project here. So I had presented elevations in CAD of the proposed property, and I had expressed how we were using a very clean way of expressing very typical, more federal kind of details and modern farmhouse architecture on this structure. It kind of navigates over four 4 different levels of plane to get from the lower area at approximately elevation 28 up to elevation 55. And in listening to, I know Eric had concerns, which I believe were just the nature of the CAD drawings. I mean, wide pilaster corners, typical traditional roof, metal roofing, standing seam metal, clapboard siding, double hung windows. I don't know where we can really go too wrong with those elements. I figured that the CAD was a lot of the culprit there. So what I did was I developed a hand-drawn rendering that really more represents what's in my mind's eye. So this is that east elevation as board drafted. I'm not sure my students know what that means, but this is board drafted, and this really represents more of the texture and the softness that the elevations would take on. And this is the east facade, which I consider the most important. It's the river view facade, which you would see more of because the other ones are mostly kind of engulfed in either elevation change or vegetation. But we're going to use a wider 15-inch, very plain pilastered corner. You know, we could decorate the hell out of it with moldings and all of that. But you know, that's what they would have done 100 years ago. And I'm looking to do more of an abstraction of the elements that truly are the creator of the forms of mystic, and kind of move the dialogue a little further. And then within that, we've got the expressions of the fenestration, double hung windows, kind of a charcoal frame, as you see on the Bravo building. But I've broken up in between them with a vertical wide plank shiplap, a plowed groove instead. It's a subtle detail that, of course, if you know what shiplap is, it's only in the very thin shadow that you see any detail. But here I drafted it, and of course it shows up like a Yankee pinstripe, where you would hardly really ever see that. You would probably hardly even know the difference between this surface and this surface, to tell you the truth. Only when the sun hits it a certain way will you see any of the shadows kind of communicating that. A light charcoal standing seam metal roof, as you can see, and stonework that kind of helps navigate the you know, the walkway from terrace to terrace, from the lower level where we have a garage that kind of sticks out a little bit. We're going to cover in stone, local stone, with a standing seam roof, and then a stone walkway that makes its way up to the main terrace here, and then up to the main terrace on the top part as well. We're working on and will have ready for the public hearing 3D renderings done in Revit of the structure. That's kind of a work in progress, and they're very complicated to do. And again, you know, with the 3D computer generated modeling, they're great as a resource, but you have to be careful in looking at the details of it, because they don't represent all the time what we can do by the hand. So this I would let be the driver. This is really what the architecture is more going to look like. I'll just show you the progress of a couple of the 3D renderings, just to give you a little bit of a sense of how they're coming along. And this is one of them. We're still tweaking it. The color is pretty much right, but there's some roof issues here where this really isn't flat. This is coming down in a different way. But the massing as you enter it from Fort Rachel Place, in other words, if you were to walk over here and look off the edge, you would be looking over toward Red 36 that way. So from a massing point of view and a basic modeling, this is how this one's particularly coming along. But the basic, you know, form of it, and you know, it's not a glass box. It's obviously the form fits within a lot of what you see around our local towns. This would be from the southeast corner. This green, it's a very difficult site to model. this actually would drop off and be ledge that goes down to Water Street down here. So where we show this grassy field, it's obviously not there. But in the modeling, you've got to, make do with what you do. When you come in from Fort Rachel Place, you come up the drive and into the garage here, and this is that walkway that's going to make its way up to the main terrace and then up to the upper level terrace here. The siding would be all white painted clapboard. We'd have this vertical shiplap exposed groove that would be just a little bit of a sandy color, just to kind of accentuate itself a little bit off the clapboard. And then the charcoal roof, as you can see. And I've got a third one here that more from the east. These windows aren't really right. There's a mullion missing here in this. They're double hung windows. So it's double hung, double hung, double hung, double hung. These are all double hungs. And then we've got sliding doors here with transoms with muntins above. So the models, they're very complicated and they take a lot to really put together, but you all are professionals in what you do, and I know that you can read into the progress of what you see here.
Mark, I have a question about the roof. Can you go back to that?
To the model?
Yeah. So as I'm coming down the standing seam roof here, I'm looking at the gable end and I'm looking at the edge of the roof. It looks, I can't figure out what's exactly going on down here by the eave. Is that a vertical fascia of?
No. So that's just a function of having to adjust the model. Where if I go back to this, this is going to be a very typical, 8-inch fascia with probably a scotia molding right under the drip. So very typical New England fascia. We have a 20-inch overhang, which is going to give us a nice shadow line in here. And then the standing seam metal roof goes from there. So very typical fascia as you'd see on anything else.
Makes it look like there's a fascia all the way around that's like a foot high. That's just
Yep.
Well, you're gonna clean that up if you do those drawings?
Oh yeah. The cleaning up is easy. Building the basic model and getting the form there is 92% of the work. 8% is putting the icing on the cake, and that's where we're at right now. So we'll definitely be ready in 2 weeks. But this, obviously, this rendering you see in front of you wasn't done overnight. These hand drawings are they take a while. But I wanted to produce this. I've been doing this for 30 years. And this is really more the texture and the expression that this house will have. So I really wanted to pay more attention to this. The modeling just simply shows you mass and shadow and context a little bit in ways that we can't in 2D.
Okay, we have any comments from the commission? Questions?
None from me.
I'm still trying to wrap my head about the vertical ship lathe. And you said this rendering is not really accurate in the sense that the lathe is a lot narrower. Is that correct?
Oh no, this is the most accurate. So now, are you speaking about this field right here?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
So that's a vertical shiplap.
Right.
And so those boards are flush, and there will be between the boards a 3/16 inch wide gap. That's 3/16 of an inch deep. So when I drafted that with the pencil, it looks like a pinstripe, but in reality, you would. And what I love about a federal, you go to the borough, or even some of them here in downtown Mystic, is you look up in the pediment and they look flush. And when you get really close to them, there's one right over on Gravel Street. When you get up close, you see the shiplap, and it's a great little detail that only the people that get close to these buildings actually get to enjoy. So that vertical set of lines you see, you're just really not going to see because it's only 3/16 of an inch.
Gotcha.
In other words, what you're seeing here, Bill, is actually a lot more than you're actually going to see.
That's what I was asking. Yep.
Yep. Yep.
I have nothing more.
This, this is not a traditional colonial federal style house that you might see in the historic district. It is borrowing certain elements from those older houses, but it is putting a very current, I hesitate to use the word contemporary, but in some respects it is, interpretation. And it's a different looking kind of house, no doubt about it. What we discussed at the last meeting, I personally encourage this kind of architecture in the historic district as being sympathetic with it, but innovative and progressive. And it's this whole issue about what's the right date for the historic district, and there isn't one. There is no year that defines or characterizes the houses and buildings and whatever in the Groton Historic District. So this is just, in my opinion, another contribution to that dynamic of architecture.
And as I said last time, in my opinion, I think this is an awesome house. I don't think it belongs in the historic district. I think it goes against with the traditions, the characters of that neighborhood, the surrounding houses, and what builds that area of town. I think the house is great. I just don't think it belongs there.
I mean, for my opinion, I like the look of it, and I think, like I said last time, because it's a very unique location and it's not, flush with the other houses on the street, and it's perched high up on the top of a hill, I don't have a problem with it.
You can say something now, Bill, or you can wait. You just.
I'll be frank. I'm still processing all this because my name right now is Eric Brady. I'm with Eric, but I'm also with Todd, and so I'm trying to. I don't know that the ship lay is still.
You don't have to give an opinion.
Yeah, so I'm just still processing. I'm just gonna be honest.
That's a good answer.
Mark, it's tough because I like it. I like the house. I like your designs. I like your work. No one's going to be able to convince me that, to go the way that Todd's going, but that's how commissions are made. So
If, since Bill Ferguson wasn't at the last meeting.
Correct.
Bill, I put this storyboard together for last time, and this, I thought really would help a little bit in terms of what we envision. We envision this, a lot of white. It's mostly white, the charcoal roof, and the vertical seam. It's like this, but in white. You're just barely gonna see that here. Here you can see on this part of the storyboard a little. You can see that groove a little bit more. That's an 11¼ inch shiplap right there, and you can really see it more. But you can see how. When you look at this picture here, I bet you can't even tell that this area right here, this area on this house right here,
I can see it.
It's actually vertical shiplap, and you can't even see the vertical grooves. And here you can just barely see the clapboard on this lower part right here. This area right here is exactly what our house would do. You would hardly see that vertical shiplap.
One of the issues that came up at the last meeting, Bill, was on the center drawing there of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a CAD drawing, it really emphasized and drew out the shiplap, and so that's why we asked Mark to do another drawing.
Yeah. No, in this picture is far, in my mind, not to sound mean, but is far worse a presentation because it accentuates the shiplap so much that it detracts from the rest of the house. So
Right.
the most recent drawing that you shared, the hand one that you shared previously, is, yeah, that one is much more convincing, for lack of a better term.
I think the point I'm trying to make, though, as a member, is just that Mystic is extremely important because of the collection and the makeup of the homes. I mean, if you read what's written about it, if you read the historic district guidebook we're supposed to follow, it's about following and keeping in character with that. This is totally different. And I understand Todd's point. I don't necessarily disagree with Todd's point, and I don't not like this house. You allow this, you open the doors. And if you open those doors, you might as well throw the historic district out.
Yeah. That's where I'm, like I said, I'm Eric Brady right now. I'm 100%, as someone who's had a house in the historic district commission for 25 years, I am fully supportive of what Eric just said. But I get Mark's point that it's so subtle, but there's sometimes a slippery slope opens up.
I just think, like Mark, in my opinion, if you were using the vertical shiplap in a federal style house and it was a small accent of it, that I would be much more willing to agree with allowing or giving my vote to allow that. This, you're breaking so many barriers. I mean, down to the metal fencing, the metal roof. They're just all materials and all things that just aren't used and aren't around. And look, I'm advocating for change. I mean, obviously, like, I'm doing it myself. This is just too much for me. And I don't know. That's my opinion.
Okay. Interesting. So if there are no other comments, Mark, I think you've obviously gotten some different opinions and impressions and whatever, and I guess you can take the comments for what they are, and then elect to go forward to a public hearing next, or if you wanted to make some modifications, you could do that. As I said, I don't have a problem or an issue with this house, and I sort of, as I said, I welcome this kind of innovation. So that's my opinion.
Mark, I'll tell you this: if you scrapped the metal roof and did a cedar shake roof, and you scrapped those metal railings, I'd give you my vote. Those are the two that stand out to me as just totally out of character.
I can approach my client with that, and so I guess two comments I would make. I struggle with the same thing you guys are as a member and former chair of Stonington's Design Review Board. If this was on the streetscape, I would probably approach this design differently. But I think Don makes a great point in that, and I've been on this site so many times in trying to analyze. When I did my site analysis, it's just so elevated. Like I said a month ago, Stonington's going to see this more than Groton will. It is a little out of context, and you're really not going to see much of it. It's very contained and very high on the site. And as as somebody who did write a history book, regurgitating precisely the elements of these forms that we respect, I don't. It's not me. It's not me. I'll definitely approach my client and see what he thinks about the roof. He's designed and has built some of the area's most magnificent structures as the president and owner of AZ Corporation. And he, yep. And Pfizer and Lawrence Memorial Hospital. Perry has a great eye for design, but he's kind of fallen in love with the vertical charcoal standing seam roofs. I don't know that he's married to the mesh rail, but he's kind of, Perry's grown. I don't think he either wants to just put up something where, oh my God, I wonder when this was built. I don't think that he thinks that the site really, no one's built there. And it's difficult. And and what have you. So I'll approach that with him and see what he thinks. I would like to come back to the hearing in 2 weeks, and when I come back, I guess you'll see what he thought. But I'll definitely discuss it with him. He's as a client, one of the more visionary people I've ever worked with in my life.
Yeah, I understand you're trying to advocate for him. I also think that no matter what the location is, if it's in the historic district, it should be treated equally, whether it's on a dead end street, behind a bunch of other houses, or if it's prominent, downtown Mystic. I think it's still equal. And I think this is a prominent location in one way or the other. And, we made that very clear with 8 Fort Rachel or whatever it was with the garage. So that's right across the street. So, my point is that I think it's crossed too many barriers personally, and it's just not something that in its current form, I agree with. And like I said, I think it goes completely against what the handbook says. So if we're going to allow this kind of stuff, throw the handbook out.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit extreme. I also think that you could stick a standing seam metal roof on almost any house in Mystic on the historic side, and it would not be clash tremendously at all.
Todd, show me one.
Well, I mean, I don't even have to show you one. I just think it's potentially would have potentially been a roof that could have been on any roof in downtown Mystic. I mean, Dan's got on the Oyster Club, he's got standing seam, or that standing seam, he's got metal roofs, and they just we've got this house I'm in right here down at the beach has got standing seam roof, and it is not, in my personal opinion, is a far more attractive roof than a shingle roof, especially an asphalt shingle, which you see everywhere, but which you have asphalt shingle roofs all over the historic district, and none of those houses had asphalt shingle roofs on them when they were built. So at what point does an asphalt shingle roof become acceptable any more than a standing seam metal roof would not be acceptable if you put it on one of those houses today? That's my point. My point is that if I go by what you're saying, Eric, then I should put a wood shake roof on every single house in downtown Mystic, because that's what they had on them in the first place. But they all have asphalt shingle roofs now. And asphalt shingle roofs in and of themselves are not particularly attractive. So I just don't think you can single out some of these different kinds of roofs. Marina roofs, and there are plenty of roofs down in the Marina district that are metal roofs and whatever. And so does that mean you can't stick one on a single family home?
No, but quite honestly, if it was my choice, I would force everyone to put cedar shake roofs on it, on everything.
But how can you sort of say that, given that most of the houses have asphalt shingle roofs? I mean, where are you coming from the standpoint of practicality or rationality or aesthetic determination? I mean, if you're imposed.
I'm just going by what the guidebook says. And if we're supposed to follow the guidebook is encouraging conformity. What's written about Mystic encourages conformity. It constantly talks about the largest collection of intact federal and 3 other, I can't remember off the top of my head, but Italianate and a couple other style homes. So if we're trying to keep this small area to conform and stay in the same stylistic approach, I think that that's what the Historic District Guidebook was trying to say and what we should be trying to achieve. If we're going to allow new things in, which I'm not saying we shouldn't, I'm just saying it doesn't go with what the preservationist mentality we followed for years is.
You gotta remember,
I'm not saying Mark's house is ugly. Mark, I think this thing is great. I really do. I just don't think it fits in the historic district. That's it.
And you have to remember when these sea captains came back and built the Italianates, they were the only ones that had seen Mediterranean architecture, and they were vilified in Mystic. They were vilified in the Borough. They were vilified in Gloucester and Marblehead and Westerly, and for building, oh my God, the colonists thought they were out of their mind. And then as they started to receive books, because the printing press had been invented, from Europe, and see these beautiful designs that the Italians did, they completely changed their way, and now everybody wanted one. It's kind of an ebb and flow of design characteristics. And I understand what you're saying, but I'm also trying to look forward, but with a wink back to what I think is good form and good use of materials and quality construction.
Yeah, just from my, I actually like the metal roof better. I think shingles wouldn't go with this structure, but that's my opinion.
Okay, anybody else? Any other comments? All right, so Mark,
I hope we got you totally confused now, Mark, so.
An enigma wrapped in a riddle.
Right.
I will, I'll definitely take everything into consideration. I'll talk to Perry tomorrow. I would love to have Eric's vote, and everybody's vote. And I'm a resident here, you know, and have a long career left to go. So I'd like to come back in 2 weeks for the public hearing. I was at the previous part of this meeting, so I know what I got to do for tomorrow. There's a lot of work to do. And I'll connect with Linda and get everything in.
well, we haven't really, have we now adopted those operating procedures here?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Well, you're also not gonna have any problems with Mark. I mean, Mark's done this enough that he knows what to get.
Right.
I would ask Peter, if I was to drop the 3D renderings in as a placeholder, is there any time where like at the they're in as a placeholder, but then at the hearing they're just a little further along, or do you not accept anything at all?
I would suggest reaching out to Tom Zannarini tomorrow morning,
Okay.
and you can discuss with him.
Okay. I mean, we're really close, but just on the instance that we embellish it a little bit more, it'd be, you know, it'd be great to be able to do. But I'll
Right.
check with Tom.
Right.
Well, and I think, Peter, correct me if I'm wrong, as a practical matter, if he's got a slightly polished up drawing the night of the hearing, everyone,
You're breaking up, Todd.
well, as long if the drawing that he talks to Tom about tomorrow isn't quite done, and he gets it done a week before the actual hearing date, then there should be no problem incorporating it into a package.
Correct. Yeah, that would be the time, and I would talk with Tom. I think the deadline is Wednesday, I believe, that week.
Wednesday of,
The Wednesday prior to the meeting, I believe, is the deadline. But I would just reconfirm with Tom in the morning on that one.
okay, great.
Okay.
So is there any other business before us tonight?
Well, I just want to thank Bill for volunteering. We appreciate having a new member and a new body, and we look forward to your opinions on these matters.
Yeah. No, I'm very appreciative to be part of the council or commission. So thank you. Thank you, Don. Nice meeting you tonight.
Nice to meet you.
And Peter, same as you.
Yeah, okay, so, if that's the case, then, we are adjourned.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
I think that was everything on the meeting, right?
Yeah, that was everything on the agenda.
Yes, okay.
Plus
great.
one, actually.
You got 1 second? Well, do you have a second if everyone else wants to drop off? I have a quick question for you.
For who? Peter or Bill?
Peter.
Oh, okay. So I can leave?
Yeah, let me I'll shut down the meeting and everything, the recording of this and everything. Hang on. So, all right, we're done with the meeting then. We have the motion to adjourn and everything?
Yeah.
Second, all that, okay.
All right, I'm gonna sign on.